natural.
Yeah, hang on. Right, do I have lipstick on my teeth?
No, not that I can see, no.
Oh, no, but we're good to go then.
Are you recording that?
Yeah. So, I've called this the Beck and Nick Fireside Chat.
I think you should call it what Mum used to call us, and that was Nick and Becca. And he thought that should be the name of a West German footballer, just to put an age on it. She would call us Nick and Becca, which does sound like a West German footballer.
I'll rename it. I'm going to write that down, otherwise I'll forget.
Nick and Becca. No, yeah, you're pausing quite a bit there. Well, you were there, but then you notoriously have a bad internet connection in your posh house.
Yeah, but the lovely thing about Zencaster software is that it evens it out.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. Even that's why I use it, because yesterday I was recording one and the internet crashed and burned, but it had backed everything up to the cloud, so I was able to retrieve it. I was interviewing Nick, a former Miss Australia.
Okay, why couldn't I interview her? How former? Are you talking like from 1935?
No.
I might go, no, I'll not bother.
No, she, I don't know how old she was. Wonderful woman. Sabrina, she's in recruitment.
Right.
She's in recruitment, and she was just great. Loved her. I think her dad was Lebanese and her mum was Indian. And she won Miss Australia. She came third in Miss World.
Wow.
I know. And she's really clever. And I said, not only are you drop dead gorgeous, but you're really clever as well. And she's dead nice. She's lovely. Really
nice. Did
you
not think she was a victim of the patriarchy and that actually she just didn't really want to do that at all, but she was made to do it?
No, she just loved it. She saw it as a way to get a career in media. She then went on to do The Australian Apprentice.
Right, cool.
Yeah, no, lovely woman, loved her to bits. That's going to come out later. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the podcast. We thought our marketing meeting yesterday, Nick, Tammy, Naresh, and Lauren, they make us do things I don't think the world understands. We just perform like performing monkeys for our audience and our coaches and our clients and stuff, and our team behind the scenes tell us what to do. So they said they wanted some banter between us,
right?
So they could put it on the socials so that people would get to know us properly.
Okay, what, as people?
Yeah. So obviously I had concerns about people getting to know you.
Yeah, I would.
Because it would put people off.
Yes. I'm not good with people.
Which is ironic, because you perform in front of hundreds of people, like, for a living.
I do. And in fact, next Thursday I'll be doing that in Glasgow.
I know. And
so, you do. Yeah, I do. Actually, I think I don't know whether it was Jean-Paul Sartre or it was some French person. Look, we're living the brand. Look,
we're living the brand. We're living and eating the brand.
Can I say though? And I noticed this, and I'm going to name drop. I've got a Porsche mug as well. Is that why is it on that? Because I'm right-handed, so I pick up my mug in this hand, but then the sticker's here. That's no good. It's facing me. So in order for me to show this, I have to drink in my left hand. I don't understand why this is not on this side or both sides.
Right. Okay. So my technical abilities on gelato are quite limited. And this is one of the things that people need to understand about running a small business, is that whilst beautiful Lauren and her team designed like the look and feel, I then had to go on to gelato and work out where to place everything.
Oh, I see. It should have been on the other side.
I can change it. And
it would have been fine for Mum because she was left-handed. Mum was left-handed. Anyway, let me get back to Jean-Paul Sartre. It was one of those philosopher types who said, I like Guillaume, I like Pierre, I like Marie, and I like Anne, but I don't like people.
Ah.
And I think that probably resonates with a lot of, so just people, like, there's too many people, or those people. But as individuals, of course, people are delightful.
Yeah, I really like people. I find them fascinating.
Yeah, they are, individually.
Well, do you know, I do like watching them collectively.
Oh, yeah, observing
Yeah,
the herd,
yeah,
I would agree.
yeah. It's fascinating.
Um, you know my eldest son, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, vaguely.
Yeah. George.
My nephew,
Yeah, him.
gorgeous
You know
boy.
him. A few years ago, he asked me, he said, Dad, when you're in London and you're on the tube or on the train, what do you watch? I said, what do you mean? What do you watch? I said, well, what do you watch, like Netflix? Do you download things and watch them? I went, I don't watch anything when I'm traveling. He said, do you not listen to music? I went, no, I don't listen to music. He said, what do you do? And I said, I just look, I just observe, I just watch people. And he said, yeah, but you could be on Reddit. He's a big consumer of Reddit. He said you could be on Reddit and learning things that are interesting. And I said, if you sit in a tube train, you learn lots of things and you are surrounded by interesting
Yeah.
things.
Oh, totally. Totally. He's young though, isn't he? He's young, he's a younger. So they think everything's in the phone, but actually everything's out there. It's not, hardly anything is in here. Most of it's out. In fact, 99% of it's out there.
And actually, what a lot of what's in here is utter,
Oh, it's
mindless, vacuous,
garbage.
factious nonsense.
But that's ironic, Nick, because we're about to put this on there, isn't it?
True, but this, I think, even how far are we into this recording?
7 minutes and
Right,
30 seconds.
seventh at minute 30 last minute. This so far is basically packing an intellectual punch. Even we're not even 10 minutes, and this is heavyweight stuff.
It is suitable for a PhD, I
Oh
think.
well, a modern PhD, that's just make it up as you go along, whatever. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's easy. I'm not talking about if it's like a proper degree, like architecture or law or veterinary science or medicine,
Yeah.
but a PhD in, I don't know, golf course management.
Knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to, you were
Well, it's
either
either that or the Beatles, because I believe at John Moores University they do a degree on the Beatles.
do. Yeah, they do. I think there's a professor of the Beatles.
But then you did, you did a degree in literature.
Yeah, but that's a proper thing.
Yeah, but when I did stand up, one of the things that I would sometimes say when I was looking at the audience, like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm a student. What are you studying? I remember one particular night, someone saying, oh, I'm doing a degree in literature. And I went, oh, that's nice. You're reading storybooks. So I did a degree in law. Do you see how that's different? One of them is intellectually challenging and the other one is storybooks. Oh, I did a degree in reading fiction. Well, that must have been challenging.
Well, do you know,
I
there's a
know,
lot
I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. Because you remember, do you know my eldest son?
again,
Yeah, the
right?
same one. He did his first degree was in film and literature, so
Yeah,
that's storybooks and going to the cinema.
just watched a lot of films.
Yeah, that's right, and consume a lot of popcorn.
Mm. Yeah, I just read a lot of books when I was at uni, and I chose literature because I liked reading.
Yeah,
That's
no, indeed. Well, Mum did, didn't she? Mum did a degree in literature, and I love reading as well. But yeah,
I didn't like writing about it, which is why I got
oh,
a dodgy 2-2. because I wanted to write about things that were more creative and imaginative, but you just had to write about what they thought you should write about. And I don't like academia for that, because like they've got these rules in academia that you have to write about the things that they want you to write about in a way that they want you to write about them, so you score the magic points. And I told you when I did my master's in coaching how I fell out with my director of the
Yes.
course, because she asked a really dumb question, which was, how has the positive psychology movement influenced your coaching practice? Well, the very short answer is it hasn't.
Yes.
But you don't get any marks for writing that. So I had to write this, I don't know, I think it was like a 3,000 word essay on why it hadn't and what had influence. And obviously NLP, Dr. Bandler, huge influence, but the academics don't like NLP or Bandler in any way, shape or form. So she failed my paper. So I basically just had to lie and pretend that the positive psychology movement had influenced my coaching practice, even though it really hadn't.
Which, on a kind of semi-serious point, and it is actually a serious point, is the deep irony, and actually it's damaging, is that self-same person, that lecturer, is probably lecturing at an institution that heralds and trumpets diversity.
Well, this was back in 2012, so we didn't have that. We didn't have the D word then.
Okay, but and this is something I was reading about yesterday actually. But it's an example of the same thing. Is that diversity thing doesn't extend? It would appear it doesn't extend to points of view.
No,
Do
no.
you see what I mean? So,
Then
we want diversity, but as long as you you agree on these things about which every reasonable person, and we'll decide who's reasonable, of which every reasonable person absolutely agrees, and that's damaging, because then you get organizations that are full of people who think the same way, or in your case there, have basically pretended to think the same way in order to pass. And people within many work organizations are pretending to go along with sort of things, because if they didn't, it would be very, very career damaging.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say that academia and large corporates behave in the same kind of
Yes.
way, definitely. And there's a, you know me, I'm a Libran, so I like to see both sides of the argument.
Yes.
And it's very difficult to run a huge organization without having everybody kind of heading in the same direction with roughly the same kind of way of doing things.
That
But then you can't complain that you don't have innovation. So this is the thing with big corporates. They go, right, we love the fact that you're all thinking in the same way and we're heading in the same direction, and we want innovation. Well, the two, I would argue, are mutually exclusive, because you absolutely have weird and wonderful opinions and thoughts and ideas that the institution finds difficult, challenging, sometimes offensive, in order to make progress.
Yes, and this is very interesting, because I listen to I don't listen to podcasts. You know me, I'm not a podcast person. I prefer to watch them on
This will be
YouTube.
on YouTube as well, though.
I consume a lot of YouTube, as you well know. Oh, is this making you thirsty?
It's flipping hot. It's boiling.
Well, for Scotland, maybe.
It's like 22 degrees, Nick.
That is
I'm,
hot for Scotland.
I'm wearing sandals.
Oh, that's outrageous. No, this podcast was saying, because that is one of those. Robert, what does Robert Mnookin refer to them? A different thing. Oh, tensions. Robert Mnookin is a guy who heads up the program on negotiation at Harvard, and
Right.
he posited that in negotiations there are three tensions. Putting those to one side, because that's not what this is about. So there's a tension there, isn't there, between you've got necessarily like-minded people who are set on this is what we want, this is our goal for this organization. And by its very nature, therefore, you're going to have very well, they are like-minded people, so therefore they're going to think the same way, because actually, if you're set on, right, this is what we're going to do, you kind of can't have a load of people going, well, actually, we'd like to go this way, and a load of people going, we want to go this way, and this. So maybe organizations do attract, and this goes deeper, doesn't it? Because this is the deeper thing, which is people recruiting their own image. And
Yeah.
that's seen as a very bad thing. And in many ways it is.
Yeah.
But equally, of course, people recruit in their own image because people tend to like to be around people who see the world in the same way that they do and believe in the same beliefs. And that's deeply human.
It is. It is. It is. It is. So this is why we're unemployable.
Yes.
Because we're the ones in the corner going, but the emperor's got no clothes.
Yes, that's right. Excuse me. Am I the only person that can see that this person is naked?
Yeah.
Yes,
And
we can, but we're pretending it's not.
and we would be the ones that would say it to like the CEO and out loud.
Yes. Again, but this has real, very consequences. A friend of mine, I'm not going to mention who they are,
No, no, in
okay,
case
but has
it's
been with an
viral.
organisation for over 3 decades
Right.
and goes along with certain policies and procedures which he doesn't believe, but he's not that far from retirement.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you just shut up and take the money.
So he just shut up and take the money. But again, bigger picture, societal wise, I think most people are familiar with that phrase. It only takes good men, that's the phrase, to do nothing for evil to take
Mm,
hold. It's something like that, isn't it? And it
yeah.
is very it's very seductive, and more than that, it's very difficult to go, excuse me, I don't agree with this, because you're going to protect you and your immediate family and go, I'll just shut up.
Yeah. What is it, right? Because I remember in primary school, I was talking to my husband about this the other day.
David.
David,
Yeah.
not baby David, David,
No, not baby David from
the royal
Royal Family.
family. The the first time I remember being awkward and difficult and kind of going, these rules are stupid, was in the nursery mum used to leave me at when she went to Manchester Poly to do her studying. All right.
Yeah.
It's one of the first memories I've got when they used to put all the little kids, like I must have been about 3, I must have been tiny. And they put, you had to have an afternoon nap, right? Everybody had to have an
Yes.
afternoon nap.
Yes.
And I was
Yes.
like, I don't want an afternoon nap because I'm not tired. So
Yes.
I'll just sit quietly and play or read or whatever. I won't bother anybody else. But no, I wasn't allowed to do that. And I'm like, but why not? Because I'm not tired. And I remember, obviously I couldn't articulate it because I was only 3, but I remember thinking, this is a really stupid rule. And they had to put me in the Wendy house corner away from all the other children because they knew damn well I wouldn't be napping. I was just quietly getting on with whatever I was getting on with. And then later, the next thing I remember was when I was about 7 or 8, Mrs. Critchlow was teaching us Bible stories because I went to Church of England primary school. And I'm sat there going, hang on a minute. We're reading a book. We're reading about stories about Jesus. And I put my hand up and I went, what happens if all of this is just an April Fool's and somebody's made it up? I was about 8. And she was like, she really didn't know what to do with me. She's like, well,
No.
What do you mean? I said, well, it's in a book and somebody's written it, and we spend all our time reading storybooks, and somebody's just made those up. So how do you know this isn't just made up by somebody?
Yeah.
Well. And she never gave me a satisfactory answer. And from then on in, I was just like, okay, there's things people aren't telling me.
That's so. First of all, I wasn't aware of that, the sleep thing, and I've kept quiet while you were saying that because I had exactly the same thing happen to me. So this
No,
was before you were born.
no.
So our our viewer and listener should know,
Yeah,
dear viewer,
they are the same person.
right? They are the same person. That's right. Um, there's 3.5 years difference between me and my sister. And I remember being taken to nursery in a Mini, actually. I remember sitting in the front seat of a Mini. A lady picked me up. And there were camp beds, and I bet they were left over from the war. I remember green kind of canvas, green and wooden camp beds, and being made to sleep and thinking, yeah, this is ridiculous. Why I don't need a sleep? I mean, for God's sake, I'm free. Do I look as though I need a sleep? Right? And exactly the same thing. Isn't that funny? I didn't know that you'd experienced that.
No, it's like utterly.
But our mum did teach us to question.
Yeah, she did. I think from a very, very young age, we were just taught to question everything because she did. You know,
Yes.
she didn't accept anything on face value at
No.
all.
No, she was an awkward bugger, wasn't she?
Well, she was, and I've come to the conclusion that I am
Oh,
really.
yeah, we're both. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised it's taking you that long to come to that conclusion. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's right.
But that has led to where we are now and doing what we're doing because throughout our life we went, right, okay, well, we could do this, but I know we could do it better because when we ask questions about doing it better, I don't know about you, but whenever I've asked anybody in charge about doing things better, they've always just shot me down and not well, one or two have shouted at me, definitely, but definitely ignored me. And then, interestingly, about a year later, done what I suggested, which has always been fascinating. So you and I have just gone, right, well, we'll just do it on our own then. But most people don't do that. So I've got, my best friend, I'm not going to name names. She works at a
No,
big corporate. And I asked her, I said, do you ever feel like that? She's like, constantly. I said, well, how can you still be there? I
yes,
don't
yes,
understand
yes,
how you can feel like that day in, day out and still be there. So, what is it in us that goes, do you know what? I'm just not putting up with it. I'd prefer to eat beans on toast
yes,
than put up with that.
yes. I don't know, but I don't know. I think you're right. There are so many people. The same friend that I referred to a moment ago. Sometimes I envy the fact that he has been with the same organisation for 35 years and worked his way up. So he's going to get a very nice pension.
Yeah,
But equally, he goes, yeah, but Nick, you've had such an exciting life.
yeah, yeah.
And it's true. It's true. I have. I mean, I think. I mean, it's been like looking through a kaleidoscope. Well, for those of a certain age, I mean, now if you gave a child a kaleidoscope as a Christmas present, you'd go, "What's this?" For those of you of a certain age, you remember the tube that you looked down and you just twisted like that, and it was just bits of glass reflected through a triangular mirror. Then you went, "Oh, that's fascinating." That was a present.
It was great. I love the microscope.
I know. But that's that. So it's rich. But I mean that's why we attract people to Tricres, isn't it? Is there are people who have been in that corporate world and know that they've got so much more to offer and know that they want to live life on their own terms, but absolutely understandably, they're scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
and they're worried about this, that, and the other. And I hope I've just got an image, seriously, for the first time, never had this image, of you on one side and me on another side, and they're in the middle, and you're holding one hand and I'm holding their other hand and going, it's going to be all right. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be
Yeah.
scary sometimes, but my God, you'll be alive.
I think that's the thing. I think, yeah, and I love that image. I like to feel that we're cuddling them, that we're like holding
Yeah.
their hand, giving them big
Starts
hugs.
off with a handhold and then maybe goes to a cuddle.
A cuddle, yeah. Um, and it is scary, and you do feel alive. And I think what a lot of people don't understand about feeling alive is that you feel everything. So
Yeah.
you feel the terror of, you know, not getting your first clients, getting your first clients, getting paid, not getting paid, blah blah blah. And but you really feel it, and then you feel the joy of getting those clients and seeing them grow and develop. And by the way, there's nothing nicer, is there, than working with people out there in business and watching the light bulbs go off.
Yes.
And it's just, I think that's the best feeling in
Yeah,
the
it's
world.
so rewarding.
Oh,
I had a little moment of that a few weeks ago when I was working with a firm, and I had 20 trainee surveyors, and
pop.
I was talking to them about negotiation skills and influence persuasion. That's what we were talking about. And at the halftime break, 3 of them just started asking me questions, and we spent the whole 20 minutes. They didn't have a break, and I didn't, and they were just asking me questions. And at the end, and not just sort of work, but so kind of bigger, kind of like they started asking me kind of life questions.
Right.
You know, as a 56-year-old bloke compared to a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, I've done a lot. And at the end of it, one of them said, "God, you should run the country. You should be prime minister." Now we both know that I
Oh,
shouldn't,
my God, no.
because
Oh, no, no.
because well, for all kinds of reasons, it wouldn't go well for some people.
So funny.
Um, and they're mainly people who, even on a smart motorway with 4 lanes, insist on sitting on the lane next to the overtaking lane, as though these other 2 lanes on their left hand side don't exist. As though
Uh,
it's like, why have the government spent billions of pounds building an extra lane, and you still stick in anyway? Anyway, no.
anyway, thank God.
But yeah, I find that very rewarding. And actually, I don't know. I think this is a Mother Nature thing. I genuinely think Mother Nature she's very, very clever in that there is a deep seated desire within, as one becomes older. And as you know, I will be 57 in less than a month's time, the beginning of June, is that I naturally want to share what knowledge I have with the
Yeah.
younger generation. There's no, oh, I want to pull up the broad,
Oh God, no.
drawbridge. Like, yeah, well, it was difficult for me, so I'm not selling you the bloody answers. I mean, it just doesn't work that way, does it? So I increasingly find it so rewarding to talk to younger people who are just like, oh my God, at last somebody's. Again, a few years ago, somebody said, you're the first older person who's has talked to us in a non-condescending manner.
Well, I don't get this, because I think the intergenerational conversations, you have so much to learn from each other.
Yes,
Look at
huge.
look at what we learned from Lauren, who's our content digital marketing. She's 24. She tells us what we need to know. We
Yes,
don't know anything about what she's doing. She just gets on with it. She's really good at it, and we just learn so much
yes,
from her. And I do a bit of woo woo stuff, and obviously every now and again I go to my little tarot salon, which is on a. You're gonna like this. My tarot salon is on a break because India, yeah, she's called India, who runs it, lovely woman, gorgeous woman, is going to Ireland. She doesn't know how long for, but she needs to go because there's fairies there, and she feels that that's where her destiny, and as a friend who is a witch, bona fide witch, has told her that that's where she needs to go. So anyway, I knew you'd like that. So much material. But the reason I go to the tarot salon is because everybody's got a really different opinion. They're all about 20 years, 30 years younger than me, for a start, and they're all from a completely different perspective. None of them are in business, all right? And one or two of them have suggested that they dislike capitalism in some ways, which I keep my own counsel, and are just like, well, that's nice. Okay. But
But
it's
what do you think pays for all this?
well, I don't want to go into that because we're just busy doing tarot. But I really like it because I just get a completely different perspective, and I learn things from them. And it's lovely, and it's a different energy, and it's a different space. And why people are condescending, I do not know, because they are closing themselves off to so much really useful stuff. In the same way that, well, 15-year-old daughter, she obviously thinks I'm stupid because I'm a mother. But I'm sure she listens to other older people. But when you're young, you're like, what do they know? What do they know? But you're missing so much. I think we need to talk to each other more.
Yes, but the problem with the younger generation is they don't really like to talk. Well, they do when they're together, obviously, but
They
their natural default setting is through instant messaging, and not using. There was some survey done last week, and there was something stupid like 25% of people who are under age 25 have never made a phone call from their phone.
Well, right, that's a bit weird. That is a bit weird. But I think looking at my 15-year-old daughter, and I've got a 26-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son, they use their phones to arrange to meet up. So they
Yes,
do communicate. They do. So the phone is a means to making arrangements and keeping up to date with what's going on. So they do communicate. And they do stuff that kids do and that we did. They're indoors more, definitely, than we were, which I don't think is a good
yeah, but
thing.
we didn't live in Scotland.
Yeah, but even so, do you know? Yeah, we were outdoors a lot more, which was very good. But do you know, I think, yeah, I just think we have a lot to learn. Now, yesterday we were talking about
Have you got a prompt sheet?
no, I just have a really good memory for stuff. I plan
No, but
things.
it looks as though you're looking at, oh, this is the next thing we should talk about.
No, no, I look down when I'm thinking about feelings. Do you remember your NLP?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about feelings. In fact, no, I'm looking down there and I'm going through my list. So it's audio digital. I'm going through my list. Um, we talked about yesterday how wrong we got things in the business for 3 years before we got it right, didn't
Well,
we?
you did
Yeah, but then you said what did you say? You used a really good analogy. What was it? Can you remember?
yesterday,
Yeah.
barking up the wrong tree.
That's it. You said barking up the wrong tree. We barked up the wrong tree for 3 years.
Yes,
And
we were running round a forest, barking, going up to each tree, going woof,
that's it.
and hoping that success would fall out of it, and just like idiots.
And it didn't.
But you don't know that. One of my favourite things, and I tend to refer to this, it's amazing actually how many times I refer to this, is the talk that Bill Gates gave to his alma mater when he said it's only when you're older that you can look back and connect the dots.
True. It's true.
So one of the things, for those people who don't know, I spend a lot of time working with lawyers and law firms. So one of the conundrums that always comes up or that face lawyers is associates, which is the name given to junior lawyers. You become an associate and then a senior associate and then a partner. Is how do I make the transition to partner? Because partners have all the relationships. Because guess what? Clients want the relationship with the partner because the partner knows everything and is the most experienced and therefore has the most credibility. And they go, but how am I going to make that transition to partnership? And I say, well, there's this, and you need to be cultivating this and this. But ultimately, you won't know until you become a partner when you look back and go, well, what happened was
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Then I got involved in this deal, and then there's this, and then I happened to meet this person, and then this conversation happened. But it just happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does, but it's persistence. This is where persistence is in business, and why most businesses fail for all kinds of reasons. But a big one is persistence, because we would be the first to acknowledge, would we not? And actually, I would acknowledge this because I was more ready than you, I think, is that there are plenty of times where when we would have called it quits and go, I can't, this is
Yeah.
too difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So many times we nearly called it a day. So
Yes.
many times. So many times when it was just like, this isn't working. This is like the 15th, 16th, 25th time we've tried something and it's still not working.
And the ninth platform or the 12th bit of software, you think, this bit of software, this is what we need. This'll bring in clients.
Oh, no, it didn't. It
No.
didn't. No, it didn't. Yeah. And you just have to keep going. You just have to keep finding a different tree to bark up, and eventually you find the right one. And this is a weird analogy that we can't take any further, but I'm going to. Eventually, there'll be a dog sitting in the tree that barks back at you in the same language, and dogs don't
Oh,
really sit in trees.
okay, dogs in trees.
Yeah, we've lost that analogy there,
No,
but
but
people,
let's keep it. I think for a lot of people, that's a nice image.
yeah, yeah, it just takes time and yeah, and persistence. And also, I think going back to that bloody mindedness, and plus you and I, it's like, well, it's not an option to go and get a job. So what else are we going to do other than keep going?
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick? Okay, this is a bit of a curveball. What do you think is going to happen to lawyers with AI? It's quite a hot topic. What's the word on the street? What do they think? Because you're in touch with them the whole time.
I have to be honest that in the past year, in the training courses that I have delivered to lawyers, it hasn't come up once.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um, Now, whether it's being talked about at a very higher level and partner meetings, I suspect it is. I suspect it's something that will be integrated,
Mm.
but it's that human touch, isn't it? It's the human thing is important.
Don't you think though? Because the contracts will be written by AI.
Yeah, but people underestimate how much input there is in a lawyer in a contract. Anyway, there's an awful lot of just standard stuff in contracts. There's an
Yeah.
awful lot. If you So I do a lot of work in Ireland, okay, with law firms in Ireland. And what I suspect nobody, apart from an Irish lawyer, if we have one, if our listener is an Irish lawyer, people will not know is that Ireland happens to be the world centre for aircraft leasing.
What?
Yes, the vast majority of the world's aircraft are leased through the agreements are done in Ireland. It's a massive centre for aircraft leasing. Yeah, who knew? But it is, right? It's massive.
Oh,
Well, when Ryanair lease another Boeing 737, that it's not different from the contracts that they did 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Well, we'd like to change this because we think, aviation over the next 5 years might do this, or we might like to change this. But, there are clauses in contracts which are, it's a standing joke, which I joke with lawyers on my courses sometimes when it's appropriate, is that, clients will go, oh, what's this clause in here? And they'll just go, oh, that's industry standard.
Right.
And the
Okay.
client goes, "Oh, all right then." There's so much that's just, yeah, that's just that. So like that's just in an employment contract. That's just in a construction contract. That's just in you want to buy another firm or you're doing an IPO. That's just in there. There's then
So, okay, but then will businesses just download those off AI then?
well that's an option that they can, but then but then everybody goes, well, actually, well, we want it slightly like this, or we want it slightly like that, or we want it. There's always, and actually, we're going to buy the engines on our Boeing because again, engines are leased. People don't buy. They're separate. They're, they're a
Okay.
separate thing. Your engine manufacturers are not. Your plane manufacturers don't make the engines. So they'll go, well, what engines do you want this? Well, we want these. Well, you don't want to buy an engine. They cost an absolute they cost millions. They cost a fortune. The big Trent Rolls Royce engines on the huge long haul aircraft. So they're leased. So everyone will want tailoring. It's a bit like I tell you what I think it is, and this is only my opinion, is you can go to WH Smith's in the UK and you can buy a home will kit,
You
can't you?
can.
And
Yeah, you,
write your own will. You
or
can.
you can do it online. Yeah, you can.
All right. My advice to our listener is don't ever,
Oh,
ever
God,
do
no.
a bespoke, print your own, do your own will. I specialize. One of the specialisms that I did studying law was the law of succession, which is all about property and bequeathing it and things. And virtually every single case in the law of succession that ever was is people fight and contesting a will because it
Right.
hadn't been done properly and it wasn't clear and it was a little bit vague. But go and get a lawyer to do it. Right. But there's a case in point. Yes, you can get an off the shelf will and go, oh, that'll only cost me 30 quid. Why would I want to spend 400 quid, as I
Yeah.
did with Sue, to do our. Because when I drop dead, I don't want there to be any fallout and upset. I want my wishes to be carried out to the letter. So I
Yeah.
think there's a place for IE,
AI.
AI, whatever it is. Uh, i.e., what would that be? Intelligent artificial.
Well,
That's
you're
probably what it's called in France.
yeah, because they do everything
Intelligence artificielle. I.e., I.
right. What are you doing at the weekend? Because we've been instructed to go behind the curtain. So
Hang
we're
on.
coming. What
That's behind the curtain.
that's so cute. Or is that a mini layer?
That's a mini German Shepherd dog, which Sally bought me so that when I go away, which I'm away a lot, I can put this in my case and then put it on the bedside table in whichever hotel I'm staying in.
Do you do that, Nick?
No,
No, I didn't think
no.
so.
Because as you know, one of the absolute pleasures about working away is I get away from the dog. Okay? So I don't want to be reminded of it.
Uh,
Weekend. Well, okay. I have got, believe it or not, my first pottery lesson this weekend.
what? You're doing pottery?
No. Um, so we're going to
Have
Sally's mum
you
and dad's.
bought yourself a pair of Birkenstocks and some Hessian trousers?
Hey, I had Birkenstocks years ago when I worked at Russell and Bromley.
Great.
Don't
I
knock,
love
yeah,
Birkenstocks.
don't knock the Birkenstocks. They might
But
not be the prettiest things, but they're very. There you go. You see, they're comfy, aren't we? No, we're off tomorrow morning. We'll go to Worcestershire, which is where Sally's mum and dad live. We're going to go out for a meal at a place in Fleet, not Fleet. Is it called the Fleet at Holt?
Sally
Yes,
is your
it's called the
wife.
Fleet. It's a place called
For
Holt.
our listener, Sally is Nick's wife.
Oh yes, I didn't. Yeah, my second wife.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Should anything happen to her, you get to choose your third one. That's That's a line from Modern Family. With Phil, for those of you familiar with Modern Family, Phil Dunphy says, and it's having his wife is Claire, and they're talking about, well, what happens? Claire's saying, what happens if I die, or if I die or something? He says, oh, well, yeah. He said, get to choose. I'll get to choose my next wife. but I don't want you to die. No, I'm just saying I'll get to choose. So we're doing that, which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
That is nice. We're taking the dog. So we'll go out for something to eat on Saturday night because Sally has a birthday on Tuesday.
She does, yes, she does. There's a
She's
present
taking an
around.
entire year of it. It's quite a listener. It's a big birthday. It ends in a 0.
Yeah, it does.
She's
And it
20, so
begins
it's
with
no, she's not 20. It's a big
you will.
celebration. Her birthday ends in a 0. She's so excited to be out of her teens. And then I will probably hide behind the sofa, covering my hands like I did in the 70s when watching Doctor Who, when Manchester United play Arsenal. And I expect Arsenal to, well, I mean, anybody who knows about soccer will know football. It's just, yeah, so nightmare. So what I suppose I'm supposed to reciprocate, and listener, I'm only doing this out of politeness because as an older brother, I can say this hand on heart. I don't care one bit what my sister's doing this week. I genuinely have absolutely no interest in what she's doing, unless she's going to her. We're redecorating the tarot salon because at
No,
the moment we're just getting negative energy from the south wall.
it's held in a cafe. It's not going to be on for ages. So do you know what I've done instead? I've signed up for the Italian Institute to do my Italian lessons face to face.
Oh, well,
So
that's good. I know you've plodded on with your Italian.
yeah. Anyway, no, what we're doing. So I'm going to go swimming just now because it's Friday and I like to go for a swim.
You swim, yeah.
And then I'm
How
going to
many
go.
lengths will you do?
I don't count them. I just swim for half an
Oh,
hour.
so, oh, right. You do it by time. Okay, fine.
Because I lose track. I
Yeah,
can't be
yeah.
bothered.
No, it's
So
really easy to lose track, particularly in the commie pool.
yeah,
The
but I go.
Commonwealth pool, we should tell the listeners. Commonwealth pool. It is not a pool run by communists.
No,
The commie
yet,
pool.
yet.
Well,
But if
yeah.
it was communist, it would be closed. Anyway, so
It's
I'm
only for
going
party members on a Friday. That's right.
to
We're all equal, but we'll just have it on a Friday, if that's all right with you.
and our oligarch mates. No, doing that, going for a walk with my friend Ruth and her little dog Rosie, because my dogs like Rosie, this afternoon later on. And then tomorrow, yoga. I've heard my yoga studio is closing down after 12 years, which is really, really sad. Anyway, yoga tomorrow and then barbecue tomorrow night. We're in barbecue season, so David's obsessed with barbecuing. Charlie, my son's coming over. And then Sunday I'll be in the garden. I'll be doing the front garden on Sunday.
Is the weather forecast good for east of Scotland?
Yeah,
Again, listen, I have to check in because I lived in Scotland for 22 and a half years and I know how appalling the summers are in Scotland. Like, they don't have them.
Well, now you've moved, they're really nice.
I don't think that's the case.
No, they are. They're really nice now
No,
you've moved.
again, to put into perspective, so Sally, already been mentioned, the aforementioned second Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
had lived pretty much her entire adult life in the southeast of England and London. And she spent 2 years living in Scotland. So
Yeah.
actually, from the beginning of 2020
Yeah, it was
until August 22. So
yeah.
she did 2.5 years in Scotland, and she couldn't believe, compared to the southeast of England, how bad the summers were. And I think the first summer, she said, at the end of it, she said, was that summer? And
Yes.
me and our very good friends, Jane, you know Jane very well, obviously. And Jane's like, yeah, this was, I mean, Jane, a native Scots woman, was like, yeah, this is a good summer. This has been a good summer. And Sally just couldn't. She's like, you're joking, aren't you? And she said, no, this was actually quite a good summer. So that's why I'm checking in with you that this is your weekend is all right.
21 degrees forecast tomorrow and Sunday, so I'll be in the garden.
Wow.
Wee bit of rain in the evening, but that'll be finished in the garden now. I do remember Sally saying when she moved up, yes, I've put my summer clothes, I've put my summer wardrobe away, and I'll get it out in the summer. I went, you won't be needing that, Sally.
No.
You won't. Oh, she said, what do you mean? I said, you just won't need it. You might need it for a day.
A day. To be fair, in my experience, to give it its due, May tends to be a very good month in east of Scotland, actually.
Beautiful. It is beautiful. It's absolutely clear blue sky. It's gorgeous. It's 21 degrees.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to the gym.
All right. Well, on that note, Nick.
Do we not have to do a full hour? Is that not what the powers that be insisted that we do?
Well, I know Tammy has a list. She's got an even bigger list of things that.
She's very demanding, isn't she?
Very, very demanding.
I feel like a puppet.
I've told her she is the master puppeteer.
Have you?
Yeah, I've said you are. I've given her carte blanche. It's like you decide. She's head of commercialization. I gave her that title.
You did tell her that the Boston Tea Party was a long, long time ago, and that the 4th of July, 1776 was. Look, you did get your independence. You don't. It's like it wasn't like no. Now you rule us.
She is from Boston originally as well.
And anyway, obviously, the revolutionary fervour and controlling English people runs deep within the Bostonian community.
It does. But yeah, she's sending me another list. But we're knocking them off. You've nearly finished the bit of the book that you're writing. I'll write the next. I've finished the other book. So, and then I've got other things to do for her that I won't go into now. But yeah, this is one of their other bright ideas behind the curtain. The merch was her idea. That was merch.
My sweatshirt apparently is on its way. I keep getting emails telling me it's on its way.
Yeah, well, I've now got a sweatshirt and a t-shirt, and Ruby's got a sweatshirt, 15-year-old daughter. So it must be good if she's got one. So you can just maybe we need to do a little bit of commercial bit. So you could go to tricres.com/shop to get your merch, and Tricres is TRICRES. And what all podcasters do, and I forget to do on the other one because this is a bonus episode, is say you've got to follow and subscribe. So I always forget to do that. So I'm now remembering. So follow and subscribe, because we're going to do this once a month, aren't we?
We are. Follow, subscribe. And I think you're also supposed to say do a like as well, thumbs up.
Oh, a like.
Because the algorithm likes that. So yeah, we're going to do these monthly, aren't we? Is this I know that Lauren's going to take snippets of this to do shorts, but is this going to be published, uploaded in its entirety?
It is.
Good. Yeah, that's good. I think this is going to be good. I'm going to really enjoy these.
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you because
it's been really good. Genuinely.
Shite, but it's for a reason. Quite
but there's little nuggets in there, and there's this. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's good. Right, our kid. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at Tricres we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9-to-5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there.
The Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have